Good morning, dear. Hope you all are well and doing well with your studies. We were discussing our chapter Heat. We have started this chapter 2 classes earlier. 2 classes have gone of this chapter. And in earlier classes, we have studied about heat and units of heat, about temperature, what's temperature, how to measure the temperature, the common scales of the thermometer. After this, we have studied in our last class about the most commonly used thermometers and the precautions which are kept used during thermometer. Next, moving on to our today's class, we will study the transfer of heat, how transfer of heat takes place. Now starting from transfer of heat. Heat is a form of energy. Heat always travels from a body of higher temperature to a body of lower temperature. Keep this thing in your mind. Heat always transfer from a body at higher temperature to a body at lower temperature. Means hot object to a cold object. Heat transfer takes place from a hot object to a cold object. Means two objects are there present, and if we connect them, then the heat travels from the hot object to the cold object until there is equal temperature of the both the bodies. Now let's learn an activity related to this. Let's understand how the transfer of heat takes place. Let's take a steel glass and pour hot milk inside the glass. In steel glass, you have to pour hot milk, and you have to keep this steel glass inside a beaker where there is a water present. The water should be normal, not too hot and neither too cold. So we will learn how heat transfer takes place. If you keep the glass with hot milk inside the water, then you see, keep it for 2 or 3 minutes, then you will observe slowly the hot milk becomes cold, means it comes to normal, and the water present, it slowly rises the temperature, means the temperature of the milk goes on decreasing and the temperature of the water will rise, means the water will become little bit hot and the milk will become little bit cold. So we can say the heat from the hot object is transferred to the cold object. So in this way the heat transfer takes place. Heat always transfers from a body at higher temperature to a body at lower temperature, means if anything is hot, then its temperature is high, anything is cold, its temperature is low. So heat transfer takes place from a hot object to cold object, means heat is transferred from the glass to the water. So in this way we can say heat transfer always takes place from higher temperature towards lower temperature. Now coming back to our theory, we have done an activity related to the transfer of heat. So we have studied heat transfer from higher temperature to a body at lower temperature. Now the modes of transfer of heat. There are 3 modes of heat transfer. The first one is conduction, convection and radiation. These are the 3 modes of heat transfer. The first one is conduction, the process by which heat is transferred from a hotter to a colder end. Means heat transfer from a hotter end to a colder end of an object. It is same as heat transfer, but there is something little bit difference between this mode. The compulsion is this mode conducts heat only in solids. In solids, heat generally transferred by the conduction process. Means if there is a transfer of heat taking place in solid, then we can say the mode of transfer is conduction, means heat is getting transferred by conduction process. Let's again have an activity related to conduction. Bring an aluminum or iron rod and a wax pieces and a candle. you have to need three things to do this activity. Hang one end of the rod between two bricks and paste the wax pieces on the rod and start hitting the rod at one end by candle. After 2 minutes, you observe that the candle heated the rod, means start hitting the rod and wax pieces brings to fall from nearest to the candle to the farthest situated. It concludes that heat travels from hot end to cold end. It is due to conduction. Let's have a view at the activity. Here we have hanged the iron or aluminium rod between two bricks and we pasted the small pieces of wax on the rod. If we start hitting the one end of the rod, then we all are familiar that in solid heat transfers to conduction. As we started hitting this end, the heat is transferred to all the rod, means heat transfer takes place because these parts are cold and the temperature of this part is high. So heat is transferred to hot object to cold object, heat transfers to this type, and first heat reaches there, then again these parts. So nearest part will receive the heat first. So as the heat reaches this part, there is a wax piece which on hitting flows down. So the nearest part of the nearest wax piece will flow first and the farthest will last. This will be continue as this, after this part complete falling down, the heat reaches to this part, after this part second and third, fourth and so on. In this way we can say the heat is transferred in solid and the process is called conduction. So it's our activity for transfer of heat in solids takes place through conduction. Now let's learn two more definitions: conductors and insulators. What are conductors and what are insulators? Substances through which heat flows easily are called good conductors or conductors, means the substance which allows the flow of heat. The most of the metals are good conductors. We can say most of the metals are conductors as iron, silver, copper, aluminium. They allows the heat to transfer through them. So these are conductors. And the substances through which heat does not flow easily, means the substances which do not allow heat to flow easily, are called bad conductors or the insulators. The first one is conductors and the insulators. These allows the heat and these do not allow heat to pass easily. The examples are paper, wood, rubber are insulators, means these do not flow the heat to travel through them. Let's again have a look at the activity. If we keep any beaker on fire and there is handle, if the flow of heat takes place, then there is heat transfer to the material present. The beaker will also become hot, and if the handle is of metal, then it will also become hot, means there is flow of heat in the metals. And if there is handle of wood, then the heat transfer will not take place, then we will easily bring this handle. So the handles are made up of these type of metals which are insulators. So the handles, that's why, are made of insulators, and the beakers are made of conductors, means metals, and these are made of insulators. So it's the reason the conductors and insulators have more difference between them. It's all about conductors and insulators. The fact is study that generally liquid and gases are poor conductors, but the solids are good conductors. There is exception. Mercury, being a liquid, is good conductor. It is opposite to the fact that liquid and gases are good conductors, but mercury being a liquid is good conductor. The first question in study is define conduction, and the second one is define conductor and insulators. Best of luck and meet you soon. Goodbye.